You remember when Donald Trump suddenly declared America had to own Greenland, right? It seemed like such a classic, off-the-cuff Trump move. But what if it wasn't his idea at all? What if he was just a pawn in a much bigger, much older game, one that was set in motion years before he even said a word?
And that brings us to the wild idea at the heart of this whole thing. The world saw a bold power move. China saw a checkmate. Think about that. The theory we're digging into today is that what looked like an American power play was actually the endgame of a trap that Beijing had been setting for a very, very long time.
So the big question is, was Trump's whole Greenland announcement part of China's plan from the very start? Now get this, the theory isn't that China actually wanted the island for itself. No. The idea is that they just needed America to say out loud that it wanted the island. Why? Because the real target wasn't Greenland at all, it was the bond between the US and its closest ally.
All right, I know what you're thinking. How could a plan that complex actually work? Well, to get our heads around this Greenland gambit, we have to go back in time. And I mean, way back. We're talking about a strategy that's literally thousands of years old. It's a strategy called Zhijiangyi, and it's one of China's famous 36 stratagems. And the concept behind it is both simple and honestly kinda terrifying. The idea is, don't attack your enemy's army, attack their mind. You bait them, you provoke them, until they make a mistake so big they basically defeat themselves. And when you break it down, it's just a simple three-step process. Step 1, find your opponent's psychological weak spot. You know, their ego, their pride, maybe an insecurity. Step 2, you poke that weak spot deliberately. And step 3, you just sit back and watch them completely overreact, tearing down everything they've built all on their own. And there's this perfect historical example of it in action. You've got this brilliant strategist, Zhuge Liang, during the Three Kingdoms period. He just could not get his rival, Sima Yi, to come out and fight. Sima Yi was way too cautious. So what does Zhuge Liang do? He sends him a woman's silk dress. A massive insult, basically calling him a coward in front of everyone. And it worked. Sima Yi was so furious, he threw his whole careful strategy out the window, charged out to fight, and walked straight into a trap. His own pride was turned into the weapon that beat. Okay, so that's the ancient history, but how on earth does a 2,500-year-old tactic apply to global superpowers in the 21st century? Well, let's connect the dots. We're going to break down the Greenland play step by step and see how this theory lines up. So first things first, why Greenland? I mean, it's a giant island of ice, right? Wrong. It is so much more than that. Think of it as the cork in the bottle of the Arctic. Geographically, it sits on top of all the new shipping routes opening up as the ice melts. Economically, we're talking trillions, with a T, in rare earth minerals just waiting to be mined. And militarily, it's home to Thule Air Base, which is this absolutely critical early warning system for any missiles headed towards North America. And here's the thing, this didn't just happen overnight. According to the theory, China was playing the long game, setting the stage for more than a decade. It started quietly. First, they just declared themselves a near-Arctic state, which, raised some eyebrows. Then came proposals to build airports, and all the while money was flowing into mining operations. But the masterstroke, the real bait on the hook, was the perfectly timed leak about leasing a major harbor. That was the move designed to make Washington panic. So if you look at the Claybook, it's a perfect modern copy of that ancient strategy. Step 1, study your opponent. In this case, that meant analyzing Trump's ego and, crucially, remembering how he was publicly embarrassed when his first attempt to buy Greenland in 2019 was laughed off. Step 2, set the bait. That's the harbor leak. Step 3, wait for the bite, which was Trump's very predictable, very public, and very aggressive reaction. And finally, step 4, sit back and reap the benefits, which in this case meant watching the US alienate its own NATO allies. And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the theory. It was never about the land. The ultimate prize, the real checkmate, was about cracking NATO wide open. And you have to understand why that's so huge. For decades, NATO has been the cornerstone of global security. If that alliance starts to weaken, the world becomes a much more dangerous and unpredictable place for all of us.
See, China didn't actually need to get that port lease. They didn't need a single ship to dock there. All they needed was the headline, a headline that was perfectly crafted to trigger a massive overreaction from Washington. The goal was to paint America as an imperial bully, as an unreliable partner, forcing allies like Denmark to step back and ask themselves, can we really trust the US anymore? And this table really breaks down why a strategy like this could work. It's a clash of styles. China is playing the ancient game of Go,
thinking in terms of decades. The US, on the other hand, is often stuck playing whack-a-mole, reacting to crises based on 4-year election cycles. China's information flow is a fortress, controlled and secret. America's is, well, it's an open book and it's leaky. All of this creates the perfect environment for Beijing to patiently pick at what it sees as America's biggest weak spot, the trust that holds its alliances together. And the results were immediate, and, if you believe the theory, exactly what was planned. Denmark, a founding member of NATO, was furious. The EU was seriously concerned. And the net result? A definite crack in NATO's unity. It was the perfect outcome for a provocation tactic. So, where do we go from here? What does a move like this mean in the long run? Is the game over? Or is this just the opening gambit? This is where things get really important, because this whole thing is bigger than just one island in the Arctic. Let's dig into the risks and what this could mean for the future. Now, to be clear, this was a massive gamble. It wasn't a sure thing by any means. Think about all the ways it could have gone wrong. What if Trump had just not taken the bait? What if Denmark decided to play it cool and work with the US privately? Or what if Europe's leaders saw right through the manipulation and actually came together? These were huge risks. But the bet wasn't on geopolitics, it was a bet on predictable human nature. And that's probably the most important thing to take away from all this. Greenland isn't just a one-time event, it's a playbook. The theory suggests we're going to see this same pattern pop up again and again in other flashpoints around the world. Think Taiwan, the South China Sea, the battle over technology. The goal will always be the same: bait America into reacting, make it look like the aggressor, and slowly peel away its allies. So what's the end game? Well, the analysis lays out 3 possible paths forward. There's the pessimistic one, where the US keeps falling for these traps, its alliances weaken, and China's power just keeps growing. Then you've got the optimistic scenario. America wises up, learns the game, rebuilds that trust with its allies, and starts playing the long game too. And then there's the most likely path, the realistic one. A messy, back-and-forth struggle for decades, with wins and losses for everybody. And all of this leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. Did Donald Trump walk right into a 2,500-year-old trap set by China? Or is he playing some kind of 4D chess that the rest of us just can't comprehend? The first moves in what could be the defining chess match of this century have been made. And now, the whole world is holding its breath, waiting to see what comes next.